Another day, another Epic Store exclusive. The leaks and rumors are true, ladies and gentlemen. Borderlands 3 will indeed be coming exclusively to Epic Games Store for a time. More specifically, according to 2K's press release, the game will be launching on September 13th on Epic before coming to other storefronts on April 2020, meaning we're looking at a 6 months long exclusivity deal. Rumors about this possibility surfaced pretty early on when fans discovered this string of tweets by Randy Pitchford, in which he expressed adamant support for Epic Games Store. When fans followed up by expressing their dissent against the prospect of future Gearbox games going Epic Store exclusive, Randy seemed oddly defensive about the topic. However, Steam enthusiasts held out hope that these tweets may not necessarily indicate that the highly anticipated Borderlands 3 is coming exclusively to Epic Games Store, that the game might come out on both Steam and Epic, especially given the series' long-standing history on Steam. Many expected that we'd get official confirmation on the matter when Gearbox took the stage during PAX 2019 to finally unveil Borderlands 3 and showcase its very first gameplay trailer. However, not only did the trailer not feature any platform logos, Randy Pitchford ended the conference without providing clarification on release details like launch date or platforms. Fans found this very strange indeed. If the game was intended to be released on both Steam and Epic, one would think he would have just confirmed this right there and then, as such an announcement would have been met with applause and positive reception. The fact that Gearbox decided not to confirm platforms for Borderlands 3 during their unveiling event seemed to indicate that they wanted to avoid negative press on the day of the game's announcement, and they wanted to wait until they were off stage outside of a public environment to avoid live negative reactions like ahs and boos and such. People got the sense that Gearbox strategically planned things out so that they would announce the Epic Store exclusivity once the developers were behind cover, basically. Now, the Borderlands 3 trailer did state at the end that more information would be coming on April 3rd, and Randy Pitchford himself confirmed that the release date would indeed be unveiled on that day. As fans waited for April 3rd to come, many Steam enthusiasts continue to hold on to hope. There did seem to be a pretty big emphasis on Steam releases throughout PAX 2019, with titles like Pathologic 2 and Risk of Rain 2, and other Borderlands announcements like Borderlands 1 Game of the Year Edition and Borderlands The Handsome Jack Collection were listed for Steam releases as well, possibly signs that Borderlands 3 will follow suit. But on April 1st, 2019, the Borderlands official Twitter page accidentally posted a piece of promo confirming the game's September 13th release date and the platforms it would release on 2 days before it was supposed to. The promotional material was a short looping clip that showed the Epic Games Store logo tucked away on the lower left corner. Furthermore, YouTube ads for Borderlands 3 began to run by accident as well, and these also showed an Epic Games Store logo with no signs of Steam to be found anywhere. The thing is though, all of these leaks happened to occur on April 1st, also known as April Fools. This is the one day of the year where you cannot really know for sure whether news and leaks are to be taken seriously or not, as they could turn out to be an elaborate prank. The general consensus was that this is probably not an April Fool's joke, that Borderlands 3 promotional material was legitimately leaked by accident given this stuff was quickly taken down, but there were still hopefuls crossing their fingers that this was all some kind of joke. But the nail in the coffin came later that day when Randy Pitchford took preemptive measures on Twitter to address brewing backlash. Here's what he had to say on the matter. 2K Take-Two has exclusive publishing rights for Borderlands 3 and makes all decisions regarding price points, territories, distribution, and platform partnerships. Please direct all inquiries regarding any of those topics to 2K. We are just the talent. As a customer, I'm happy to shop in different stores, already do. I've bought games from Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, Steam, Origin, GOG, Humble, Uplay, Epic, and other stores. To me, exclusives are fine when they come with advantages and when they are short, say 6 months. For what it's worth, 2K's decision aside, myself and the team at Gearbox have a very keen interest in cross-platform play. We believe multi-platform support is a prerequisite, and Epic's leadership with cross-platform support is helpful to our interests there. At the time, some fans thought maybe Randy was in on the prank as well, but we know now that the leaks turned out to be real. The game's PC version will launch on September 3rd exclusively on Epic Games Store for 6 months. One important bit of context Randy provided was that signing the exclusivity deal wasn't up to Gearbox, so there isn't much point in directing anger at the ground floor developers making the game. Keep in mind that Borderlands 3 is being published by 2K, which is a subdivision of Take-Two, and lately Take-Two has been on something of an Epic exclusivity deal spree. Recall that Outer Worlds was announced as an Epic Store exclusive not that long ago, and that game is published by none other than Private Division, a publishing label owned by Take-Two. The other title from Private Division that's currently in development, Ancestors: The Humankind Odyssey, will also be coming to Epic Store exclusively. That's because Take-Two partnered and struck a deal with Epic for all Private Division titles to be released on Epic Games Store for the foreseeable future. And now Take-Two seems to be doing the same thing for upcoming 2K titles like Borderlands 3. Who knows how much money Epic paid Take-Two to make this deal, but the cash infusion plus the 88% revenue cut is certainly a lucrative prospect for publishers and developers. Now, while it may not have been up to Randy to sign Borderlands 3 away to Epic, he doesn't seem to mind the deal either, stating that he as a customer buys from all kinds of different stores and that exclusives are fine as long as they come with advantages. Sure, the extra money is an advantage to publishers and developers, but what advantages does Borderlands 3's exclusivity offer to consumers? It's not as if game prices have been adjusted and lowered. Borderlands 3 and its various deluxe editions will cost exactly the same as they would have on Steam. It's not as if consumers are getting anything out of this deal. All of the benefits are being reaped by Epic and Take-Two, by the corporations. From a consumer standpoint, all these exclusivity deals do is gate off games away from more feature-complete and more universally preferred platforms, while compounding the inconvenience of having your purchases scattered across multiple launchers that users have to keep track of, manage, and run simultaneously in the background, each with differing features and policies. All these deals do is split the PC gaming community and games player base while tarnishing the idea of an open platform that made playing on PC so unique and enticing. All these deals do is hold games for ransom to force players who have a preference for one platform into using a launcher that's inferior in just about every way. I don't have to tell you how many basic features Epic Games Store is currently lacking. There are plenty of charts out there highlighting this. Now, it'd be one thing if Epic invested all the money they earned from Fortnite into making their own original first-party content exclusive to Epic Store. First-party exclusivity is something that can be overlooked because such games owe their existence to a platform holder's investment and they generate healthy competition. People can understand that Epic's first-party game Fortnite is exclusive to their own store on PC, but it's a whole other thing for Epic to bribe companies into not releasing their third-party games on competing platforms like Steam, games that Epic had no hand in developing. Epic isn't investing on making cool new stuff, they are throwing money around to lock down stuff that isn't theirs and that already exists. Epic didn't contribute to the development of Borderlands 3, save for the fact that the company licensed Unreal Engine 4 to the developers. Now, it's worth considering that Unreal Engine's 5% royalty fee is waived when an Unreal game is published on Epic, so that's another incentive Gearbox and Take-Two have going for them. But it's not as if Gearbox and Take-Two are strapped for money. It's one thing for a self-published indie developer to need Epic's cash infusion to survive, but Take-Two is already raking in so much cash as one of the biggest game publishers in the world, and Borderlands 3 is bound to sell a ton of copies, so it wouldn't make or break Gearbox or Take-Two if the publisher forwent Epic's bribe and released the game on as many platforms as possible. Not to mention that Borderlands 3 is selling Season Pass and Deluxe editions to further bolster financial guidance. One thing I will give to Borderlands 3 is that we do know from the outset well in advance that it is an Epic exclusive. This isn't one of those games that advertises itself for a Steam release before pulling a last-minute switcheroo. Recall that Metro Exodus got a lot of flack for that. It was marketed as a Steam game, it sold Steam pre-order copies, and then 3 weeks before launch they pulled the rug from under consumers. Same thing goes for Phoenix Point, which was crowdfunded created around the promise of launching on Steam, so you can imagine how betrayed backers felt when the developers went back on their word and took the Epic exclusivity deal. Even Outer Worlds was originally advertised as a Steam game when it was first announced, before Epic snatched it up. Making optics worse for Epic is the fact that they've proven to be rather unreliable with some of their recent promises on this matter. Recall that not long ago during GDC 2019, head of Epic Games Store Steve Allison stated that they don't want to make another mistake like with Metro Exodus ever again, meaning that he doesn't want Epic to pull games that have long been marketed for Steam, listed on Steam, and sold pre-order copies on Steam, and upset consumers that way. And yet, a few days ago, Epic pulled the exact same stunt with Ubisoft's Anno 1800, which was advertised as a Steam game and sold Steam pre-order copies before being pulled from Valve's platform after an exclusivity deal with Epic was signed. Much like with Metro Exodus, existing Steam pre-orders for Anno 1800 will be honored, but the last-minute rug pulling still meant that those who didn't pre-order on time are left stuck using an inferior platform. More recently, a Twitter user pointed out to Epic CEO Tim Sweeney that a similar switcheroo happened with the game Observation, despite Epic having stated that they don't want a repeat of Metro Exodus. And Tim's response was basically to backpedal, stating the following: "We have had a lot of discussions about this since GDC. Epic is open to continuing to sign funding exclusivity deals with willing developers and publishers, regardless of their previous plans or announcements around Steam." At GDC, Steve Allison said, "We don't want to do that ever again," when asked about the Metro Exodus controversy. This prompted further discussions at Epic, leading to the realization that these calls must be up to developers and publishers, and Epic wouldn't tell them no on account of existing statements made about Steam. It's shit like this that makes Epic such an untrustworthy company in the eyes of consumers and enthusiasts. Not only are they competing with Steam via anti-consumer practices, when they do promise to do better, they'll find ways to go back on their word. Though admittedly, publishers and developers are being complacent in all of this as well. Something else Epic said during GDC 2019 was that they would eventually stop pushing for exclusives to the extent they are now, but the reliability of that statement is now brought into question in light of recent developments. With all said and done though, I expect that Borderlands 3 will sell pretty damn well on PC. Sales might suffer a bit due to backlash against the exclusivity deal, but given how anticipated this sequel to a celebrated franchise is, I expect the game will sell well enough that it will be financially successful with Epic's cash infusion and the bigger revenue cut. I suspect that this will all have a negligible effect on Borderlands 3's critical and commercial performance. Like it or not, the current reality is that Epic's strategy is working, and it is up to Steam to react accordingly by offering bigger pay cuts to developers and being more proactive about filtering out garbage bloatware content that gets listed on Steam constantly. Epic is making headway regardless of the frustrations it's causing among certain crowds of consumers, so it's time for Steam to step up their game when it comes to appealing to developers. The thing is, there is potential for Epic Games Store to be a force for good with how they're giving Steam some much-needed competition that may finally encourage Valve to get off their collective asses and improve their service in key areas. But Epic is going about it in the most frustrating way, competing through arm-wringing restrictions rather than through alluring benefits. Maybe Outlook will change once Epic implements enough features to stand toe-to-toe with Steam, but by then one has to wonder if Epic's ever-growing notoriety will impede their ability to become the dominant store in ways that are not immediately apparent. I suppose only time will tell, but in the meantime, I'd love to hear what your take is on Borderlands 3's 6 months long Epic Store exclusivity in the comments below. With that, I would like to end this news update and discussion video. Thank you for tuning in. To be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Yong Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Yong out.